Welcome to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good in our community. And with that, we're kicking it off talking about Meritan and their efforts to work with seniors with the vaccine and to go into their homes. So we have a lot of good news to share with Melanie Keller. She's the president and CEO of Meritan. And Melanie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful weather. I can't complain.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. Let's cover Meritan overall. And I always think Meritan, the Good Samaritan, you do so much work and good here in the community. But give us a little background on Meritan. Let's start there, and then we'll dive into what's current on the plate of good news. So give us some background on Meritan.
Well, Meritan is a health and social services nonprofit. We are actually next month celebrating our 60th anniversary of being here, originating in Memphis and covering a four-state Mid-South area, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Georgia. And we provide foster care, in-home services to seniors, including home health, as well as non-skilled services, senior employment, and residential support for people living with the effects of aging and a variety of disabilities.
So let's dive in on that one a little deeper, because that's going to lead us into where we want to go. But talk about working with the seniors, the independence, why that's so important.
Well, ultimately, we feel like most people want to continue to live and reside in their homes and as members of their community. And so ultimately, our goal is to provide them with whatever supports they need to do that, whether that's nursing, physical therapy, somebody coming to do some in-home maintenance. But our ultimate goal is that independence and well-being right there in the person's home and right there in their community.
And so talk about your team and what it takes to be able to deliver that level of service, because there's a lot of customization, there's a lot of need in terms of being able to specialize and to go in the home. So talk about what your team looks like on your end.
Well, we have actually a variety of teams. We all do work together. From the in-home services and supports, we have a team of home care specialists, and they provide the environmental support, maintenance. Sometimes that's sitter services when somebody needs a few hours for someone to be there, remind them to take their medications, housekeeping, meals, nutrition is very important as well with seniors or people with disabilities. And then we have the skilled side of things. So we have nurses and therapists and certified nursing assistants to really help people get through an acute episode of illness. And we've done a lot with COVID. We've provided a lot of supports to patients that are COVID positive and keeping them in the home and providing that level of skilled nursing care so that they don't have to go into the hospitals, and ultimately trying to keep some of that stress off of the facilities.
Let's go ahead and dive into the good news and what you're doing right now. But you are basically getting the COVID vaccine at home for seniors for free. And so really back to the idea of independence, but ease and convenience and making it something that's a benefit for all in our community. Talk about what you're doing.
Absolutely. So Meritan is a certified pandemic provider, and that means that we are registered with the state of Tennessee and with CDC, and we actually get the vaccines shipped directly to us, and we've gone through all those storage and transport protocols. And we recognize very early on that there is a vulnerable population. The mass vaccination sites are wonderful if you have access, if you have transportation, as well as, now the vaccines have expanded to different pharmacies. You can maybe go to your regular healthcare provider, or to the CVS or the Walgreens, but there are a lot of people that have significant physical challenges. We run across people that they have impaired mobility. They're bedbound. It might require an ambulance to transport them. So you've got those challenges. There are people with mental health diagnoses. For example, we've reach out to people that have agoraphobia, so they can't get in those lines or wait in those lines. And then there's the caregiver aspect as well, because we're vaccinating the people that are truly homebound, we're also vaccinating the caregivers in the home, because you've got to think, if somebody has a significant level of physical impairment, then quite often they have someone that needs to be there with them. So there's that time period of who can I get to stay with my mother, brother, spouse while I go. So we're trying to encompass that group. And it's not just the seniors, but really anybody that's suffering from the effects of an aging or disability. And it's really, for lack of a better word, it's almost an act of Congress to get them to a regular doctor's appointment, let alone get them out to get a vaccine. So we decided to take this on initially as part of a grant project with the Tennessee Association for Home Care, and we've just expanded that to anyone out there that needs the help in Tipton, Fayette, Lauderdale, and Shelby County. And we're really well suited to provide this service because we have home care nurses, and that's what they do, logistically speaking. They look at the schedule, they plan out a day, we go home to home, boom, 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 and we're using the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So it's absolutely perfect for this. It's one and done. Initially, when we started planning this project, which took a couple of months, the feasibility of having to go back to those homes, 4 weeks later and do it all again was a little overwhelming. So when the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was approved, it was really a game changer for us. And now it's even more important as we see some of those numbers rising and we're dealing with the challenges of variants. It's just really important to get everyone vaccinated, and everyone can't get to the vaccine, so we're taking the vaccine to them.
Yeah. Talk about the process and how it works in terms of the sign up and all of those logistical details.
Absolutely. So we have 3 different ways to connect. We have an email, which is vaccine@meritan.org, and people can email general information. We have a phone number, which is 901-612-2122. And that also, actually, that voicemail goes to that same email inbox, Love and Technology. And then there's also a link on our website. And if people click on that link, that's really the best way because it gives you the opportunity to fill out all that pertinent demographic information, name, address, so forth. If you've had a history of reactions, and so that we can really best assess the risk versus benefit of doing it in home. And that overall, all of that goes into this one giant little inbox. And we have a registered nurse that's monitoring that every day. So she's returning phone calls, she's downloading the information from the online forms, responding to emails. And then what we do is we basically have a database, and then we sort daily by zip codes, because again, when you're looking at logistics and you're looking at the time factor, and we do have transport refrigerators. So that's actually in the car, plugged in. So we do keep the vaccine at the appropriate temperature, but we're only supposed to have vaccines out for about 8 hours. So we have to look at kind of where you can get the most bang for the buck. So depending on where we're going, if we're keeping it to 3 or 4 zip codes in Memphis, we can do about 30 a day. If we're going to Tipton, Lauderdale, Fayette County, we've got a lot more mileage, then that really decreases the number we can do. And again, that's another reason that we're doing the caregivers. We want to make the most impact while we're out there. And I did the math the other evening, and we're actually covering a geographic area of a little over 2,100 square miles. So it's a big project, but right now, if people submit their information, we're running about a week turnaround time from when we get their information to when we can actually go out and administer the vaccine.
If someone is emailing in, what information do they need to email in? Just name, address, contact information? What other information?
Exactly. And then there's also part of that screening form asks if you've had any serious allergic reactions in the past, because we want to be very deliberate about who we're providing the vaccine to in the home. And so we want to make sure that, again, the risk versus benefits outweigh. And we have anaphylactic kits. And again, this is all being done by a registered nurse. So we do have people that are very well trained to do this, but we want to make sure that, and also we want to make sure that there is that need. And it's really important that we discern that there's a difference between someone that is truly homebound and someone that's looking for a concierge vaccine service. This is not I just don't feel like getting out, and if they'll come and do it, then they can just come and do it. No, if you've got the ability to get out, then great. We want you to get out. We want you to get vaccinated. This is really reserved for those most in need that don't have any other option. And we're also working with some senior living places, independent living, and so forth, where they have several people on site that have those transportation challenges, and they can't be gone for 2 or 3 or 4 hours. So we're working with those groups as well.
But I think to your point, it shows, hey, look, we're going to do whatever we can to take care of those who don't have the mobility to get out, and to do whatever we can to take care of our loved ones. And so I just think it's an awesome thing that you're doing, and really allowing everyone to access this vaccine. What's been the feedback so far on your end in terms of just your team and obviously those you've been able to serve?
It has been overwhelming how appreciative people are. You know, we're in a little over 3 weeks of doing this, we've vaccinated about 250 people, and just the positive impact and hearing the stories of, I didn't know how I was going to do this, and my parents that are in their 90s who've not left the home for well over a year, and we'd like to come and see them, and even though we know we're vaccinated, we would like them to be vaccinated. So just because you're homebound doesn't mean that you don't have those interactions and that you don't have a life, right? And so it's just been overwhelming gratitude and appreciation, and we're just thankful that we've got the bandwidth to be able to do this.
What's something that you've learned in this process already of being able to obviously customize your approach, take something you're already good at, but obviously add a whole nother layer to this? What's something that you've learned in this process, being the president and CEO and kind of helping to manage this whole process?
I guess overall, you just never really realize where the need is till something like this comes up. And recognizing just outside of the acute care population that there are so many people that can't get out for different reasons. And something that was interesting to me that I hadn't thought about till we started this process was people that have children at home that are ill. Not from a standpoint of vaccinating that child, but if you have a child that is home and possibly on a ventilator or tube feedings, and maybe you have some relief, but you can't leave the home because, again, it takes so much to get someone there so that you can go out and get this done. And that was a need that I didn't initially realize at first. And then also some of the mental health diagnoses and people that just have such a high level of anxiety. And I didn't think about that population initially. So it's been really interesting as people reach out to understand that we're painting with a lot broader brush than we initially thought we would.
How can the community help? I think one, just knowing that you're doing this and spreading the word, and for those who have loved ones who are homebound, knowing that, hey, here's an awesome opportunity. So that's one piece of this, spreading the word and getting the loved ones signed up. What else can we do to help Meritan overall, though?
Well, again, like you said, the number one thing for us is getting the word out, because we absolutely want to help. And, from a funding perspective, in full transparency, if people do have insurance, we would like to be able to collect that information so that it's possible that we could bill an administration fee to help cover the costs. And the difference with us versus a fixed site is, when you have a fixed site, you kind of make up for that in volume. You have one person there and you can do several people in an hour. And when you're covering such a large geographic area and the time element, it's the costs are much more exponential. So, covering those costs, but just the most important thing for us is getting everybody vaccinated, is getting that word out so we can reach that community immunity standard, so that, goodness, could we get back to some sense of normalcy sometime soon? And ultimately, that's our goal. Our goal is to reach out and help our community and do everything we can to turn the tide and to turn the page on this. So hopefully soon this will be in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, amen to that. And you bring up a great point in the sense that you're a lot more labor intensive, a lot more in terms of going out and the mileage and the gas costs and all of those things add exponential cost on the customized approach that you're taking, but monumentally important for us to reach that immunity level. And to your point too, when you talk about family members visiting the loved ones, like, we need to have everybody vaccinated so that we're all safe. And so I think there's a huge piece of just that equation of being able to help you offset those costs too, to do what you're doing. Wrap up and talk about, once again, where to go to sign up for the vaccine, and what you're doing there. And then overall, just website, social media, other things that we need to know to reach out and learn more about Meritan.
Absolutely. Well, our website is meritan.org, and there is the link to the form on the website. The email address is vaccine@meritan.org. If you do not have computer connections, we do have a phone line that goes to a voicemail. Just leave a detailed voicemail. It's confidential, monitored by a nurse, and that number is 901-612-2122. And then we are sharing this on our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. So again, I would just really like for everyone to share this information so we can do our part in helping our community. My little tagline here has been, it takes a village to vaccinate. And so we're ringing the bell in the village, and we want to do everything we can to get us back to where we need to be.
Well, make sure everyone, Meritan.org, Meritan.org, or vaccine@meritan.org, or 901-612-2122. So, Melanie, thank you for all you and your team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for helping us get the word out.